Now, Bryce has a fight coming up versus Austin Mcbroom here pretty soon. So we're going to be doing a breakdown of Austin too. Maybe not in this video, but in another one. But TikToker boxing has become a thing. It's become a real thing. I know first it was YouTube. Now there's TikTokers doing it. Now there's YouTubers versus TikTokers. It's just getting crazier and crazier every day. I mean, we got savages like Bryce Hall and, killers like Jake Paul. That's a joke in case you missed that. But anyways, we're going to move on. We're going to break down some of Bryce Hall's footage. This footage is of him, I think, in his first month of boxing. I think he'd only been boxing for a month in the Stromedy fight. So let's see if Bryce Hall has the hands of thunder. Let's see if he has Thor's hammer inside his fist. Let's see if he has that one-punch KO power. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so we see Bryce Hall just winging any sort of punch his body can muster up with terrible form. We see him here, his defense, he's going backwards with his head straight up in the air with his hands down, just throwing all sorts of wild, crazy hooks with no real base behind them, which he's not going to really be able to generate any power off of. Just pretty much swinging for anything he can. He looks like someone who's never boxed before. I mean, I think this is him 1 month into boxing. I'm pretty sure I look better 1 month into boxing. I've seen little girls that look better 1 month into boxing. So it's not saying a whole lot, but I will say one thing he has is the aggression down. He does come forward. Now, keep in mind, this is footage that was filmed within the past, I believe, 60, maybe 90 days at most, but I believe it was about within the past 60 days. So this isn't far off or anything. All right, now we see here Bryce just, again, coming forward with reckless abandon, dropping his power hand before he throws it, pretty much dropping every hand before he throws it. Yeah, really just coming forward with no thought of, anything that can happen to him. His head is straight on the line. His head's actually kind of leaned forward, which makes him super susceptible to getting hit. He's throwing when he doesn't really have much of a base. And he's also just, he's throwing right at the guy's gloves. It's like he doesn't really have much understanding of, you hit a guy where he's open, don't hit a guy straight in his glove where he's covered up, wait a second, get some space, create some openings so you have some power, so you have more of a selection. It's kind of just a bit of a dog fight, a bit of a scrappy kind of dog bar fight. This is kind of his way of going about it right now. And that's okay for your first month of boxing, but you got to clean up stuff like this pretty quickly if you want to have a chance against someone who actually knows a thing or two about boxing. And I have seen footage of Austin. Austin does know a thing or two, and he looks a lot better than any footage I've seen of Bryce. And I'll be breaking down Austin's footage in another video. But for now, let's continue with this one, and let's see what else Bryce has to offer.
Oh! Whoa. Really? That's all you got?
All right, now funny enough, the best technique came from Kyle Stromedy. This best technique, the best, kind of combination, the cleanest punches of this whole session came from Kyle Stromedy, the guy who apparently, accumulatively has 3 hours of boxing training in his entire life versus Bryce, who at this point has had about a month, probably several hours of boxing training. It looks like the cleanest punch landed was by Kyle Stromedy. As we see, he fakes down low and then he goes up high, and Bryce doesn't really have much of an idea of what he's doing, so he thinks he's going down low, and so he completely drops his hands. Actually, he doesn't even really react at all. His hands are just kind of down no matter what, right? He just keeps his hands kind of by his stomach where they've been kind of this whole time, kind of right by his chest. So it looks like he actually lands both the jab to the body and then comes with the straight right hand to the head and actually, stumbles Bryce for a second. And then Bryce said, "Is that all you got, pussy?" Which is pretty much always an indication that you did land hard on somebody, which is kind of funny. But yeah, it's not looking too good when the guy that you're sparring has a couple hours of training and you have a month's worth of training, and he lands the cleanest shot on you and has honestly kind of better technique than you do. So it's not looking too good. Like I said, this is only a month's worth of training, so we'll break down some of his other footage and see, how he looks in the future. But Yeah, so far it's he just kind of looks like a guy who wants to get in there and let all his anger out and just kind of throw technique out the window. You can tell a lot about someone's psychology and what they really think about fighting and how they really react in a fight when they spar. I always say it doesn't really matter how someone looks hitting pads, because I've seen guys, and everyone has seen guys that look amazing and incredible hitting pads and in training when there's no opponent hitting you back. As soon as there's an external stimulus that's all of a sudden punching back and putting you in bad positions, you see a lot of guys aren't anywhere near as good as they look on the pads or in training. So it'll be interesting.
That's all I got.
Bro,
Yo, that's a push.
break.
Hey, yo, break clean. Yo, break.
All right, now we see Bryce here. It's almost like he's kind of do like a clinch in wrestling or something, or like a semi Muay Thai clinch. But even then, it just looks like he doesn't know how to do it. He's just like kind of pushing forward with his arms on Stramati, and then literally punching his gloves. And then he looks like he comes here and does like a wrestling takedown, as if he's gonna take him and slam him to the ground like it's a wrestling match all of a sudden. Yeah, it's just. I'd say the biggest thing for him, is probably going to be fight IQ. I don't really think he landed one solid punch on Stramati. It looks like all of them were pretty much blocked. He's literally throwing his gloves. If he were to just throw an uppercut or any punch to the body, he probably would land. Stramati has his gloves in a high guard position the entire time. And the fact that Bryce couldn't figure that out at all just kind of shows you he's one of those guys that kind of sees red when he spars, most likely, and just kind of, tries to hit wherever he can without any sort of thought. So it'll be interesting to see how he progresses moving forward. This footage, if I'm not mistaken, I did check, it was within the past 40 to 60 days. So this is relatively recent, and it is hard to change someone's psychology within such a short amount of time. Because you see here, it's like Stramati, who apparently has been boxing for a couple hours in his entire life. He's had a couple sessions. Already has. You can kind of see a little bit better of a fight IQ than Bryce. He landed the cleanest shot and had the the wherewithal and the knowledge base to still fake him to the body and then go to the head. You see Bryce not doing anything like that, and he's the one who's been boxing for a month. So it'll be interesting. I think the biggest thing for him is going to be to keep calm in there and to actually kind of think a little bit here and there in the fight. Obviously, you don't want to do too much thinking, but not necessarily think, but notice and respond to the openings, respond to, attacks and have counters and things like that. I think that's going to be the biggest thing he's going to need to work on if he wants to beat Austin Mcbroom. So I'm going to be breaking down Austin Mcbroom in another video, and we'll have to see how that one goes. So I hope you've enjoyed. This is The Art of Violence, and until next time.